1, 2, 1, 2.
There we go. How's that?
Here, let me just test. I've had some technical difficulties today.
No worries.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, thank you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Can you talk for a little bit?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Audio
testing.
is...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Let me just get my audio going.
Testing, test. We've just got to let a dog out. Hold on. It's literally here. Hold on.
Oh, that's why.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How's that?
Okay,
1,
good.
2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you hear me okay?
Testing. Yeah, pretty good.
Perfect,
1,
okay.
2, 3, 4, 5. Can you just, one of the things that I'm quite concerned about is the audio spike, coming out of your, like at the moment I'm talking, and I'm not hearing any, like, echo feedback or anything. Have you just got speakers that are coming out and then that's feeding back in? Is it?
Are you hearing it? How's it sound right now?
At the moment it's perfect. I've got this sneaky suspicion that somebody else may join us later on and it might, yeah, no, it's starting up. I can hear
You can
my
hear yourself
echo.
coming back?
Yeah, I can hear it straight in, yeah. So earbuds will, is it
me,
one webcam you're using with yourself and Francois?
Let me see what I got here. Hold on 1 second. I've got a Y jack. Let me see if I can fix this.
I don't know if it's the talk gadget or people thinking, I think it is the talk gadget because I know people who hang out regularly, without earpieces, and then for some reason it's going really mad at the moment.
The audio is really low on the speaker right here. I mean, can you hear it still coming back?
If you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, just about. It's very, very faint, but it's still there. If you click setting, oh no, it's not on there. There used to be an echo cancellation. No, it's gone actually, isn't it? So they've taken that button out. There used to be a, cancel echo cancellation, but at the end of the day, it's the old earbuds that are going to fix it, aren't they?
Okay, let me see if I can set up. I brought a Y splitter for audio for this.
Okay.
So let me see what I can do. Problem is he'll wear big, ugly headphones, but I guess that's better than nothing.
Exactly, yeah.
So let me see if I can get this going.
And at the moment, we are recording, but it's not going public until I actually hit the button. And also, nobody's invited apart from me, you,
Right.
Francois, and France 24.
It looks like there was a lot of nice buzz today, thanks to you.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's up for it, and
Let me just get this audio.
The Americans over, in America now want local audiences. I think I put. Did you get that email I sent through today?
Yeah. Oh, I'll be right there. Hold on. Be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
Just set this up. Okay, talk to me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3,
Okay,
4,
but
5.
I'm in headphones now, so if you're hearing any audio coming back, it's not because of the headphones.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Are you hearing
1,
the audio
2.
come back?
No, I think it's good.
Okay.
Sounds pretty good.
Check his audio really.
Can't get your web player running around. It was doing brilliantly. Is it still streaming live?
Yeah, looks like we're doing
It was working fine. Let me refresh it and then see what happens. So,
Okay.
do you want me to throw open the invites? Because I believe I'm the only one who can throw invites.
Yeah, go ahead and throw it, because I'll start talking, because he's in it, oh, he's already saying it. Let's open it up now, because he's going on air saying we're here now.
Right. It's going in the stream right now.
Problem is,
posting.
we said it was on my page, so we're going to throw the invite, and then how can people join from my page?
They can reshare the public link. So, hi everyone, we're just starting up at France 24 at the moment. Erica Lander is with us, and while Eric is setting up and talking to you, I will throw out some invitations to the public. Please join us.
Okay. And now, how do I open it up to my people?
You can't at the moment. Let me just throw it open to everyone else. I'm just going to put it out to my circles and extended, and I'll put public on it as well. Just doing it in a few stages here. If you check the stream as well, you'll see that it's come out into my stream as a public.
Yeah, I see your
and then
stream.
So if you want to keep resharing that into, say, your account and France 24's, then we can. I'm just going to try and. Am I okay to post it to public?
Go ahead and post it. Yeah.
This is for invites. I just want to see where they.
Now let's see. So we're going to post this. Okay, so I just. Let's see now. That should be Eric Olander. Now I just posted it, but doesn't have anywhere that says join this hangout.
No, that will only be on mine. But let me just share.
Because everybody's going to come to mine on TV.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. 1 second. Where can I get that? Right, let me just go back to my stream while you expect somebody to be in here in a second.
So it'll only share once you've gone live, correct?
I believe so, yeah. I put it out to people at the moment. Give me just a second to check my stream. Do you have any plus names to like named people to invite in here as well?
No, not yet.
Pop them in the box. No, okay.
Okay, so just let me know when.
Yeah, okay. I think it should be. Let me just see. I'll just put it back in my stream as well.
There we go. So now if I share this.
Let's hope so. I've unlocked the post as well, you see. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna join us now for a live hangout. Hangout with Francois. Okay. So now, but how do people hang on? I don't understand this, huh? So when they can watch it, but they can't hang out.
But I'll tell you what I'll do actually. I'm going to. Can I see that at the moment? Okay, let's invite.
And then I want to.
I can't see a public drop down at the moment, so I'm still going to invite some other people in as well.
But if you put a plus friends 24 on that post, shouldn't that put it into our stream?
I hope so. Yeah. Let me just.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's. Because I've already put it out to even my circles and extended circles. So that's quite a lot of people, and nobody's turned up yet. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to put the link out there.
Okay. Oh, is there a link that I can post?
Yeah, give is the URL from the top. So yeah, try
okay.
it this way. I mean, the thing is, it could be the talk gadget, but when I go to the invite button at the top, it's only giving me circles and extended circles, not public. And so, if you put that, and I'll do the same thing. I'll just make a new post at the moment and say join this hangout, and giving the link out. You know, if you're happy for it to go public.
Yeah,
then,
absolutely. No, bring it
yeah,
public.
okay.
Let's do it.
There's been so many updates going on.
Okay, so I just put the link out there, and that should do it.
That should do it, yeah.
Have you? Let me just put it in my stream, and you tell me if. Whoa! Yeah, I didn't want that. What happened here? Okay, I want to get rid of that. Go back to my. Oh, okay.
Well, at least that's proof if somebody turns up here. Let's see what's happening and where that person got it from. Hey, Sudesh. Nice to see you. I know Sudesh. Where'd you get the link from, Sudesh? Because we're having trouble getting the public link out there.
Oh, it came on my post, on your post. Yeah.
That's because you were in my circles, aren't you? So no, that's fine. That's fine.
You made it 1 second.
I thought I made it public, and it was locked.
No.
Now I've put the URL out.
It's extended circles locked. I see it as that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to change. You see, so.
Okay, you gotta restart it, I think. Try restarting it, maybe then it'll change. Okay, I'll leave and then I'll check back again.
That's where you stay if you want. It's
Maybe you'll have to restart it.
Well, we put the URL out in the stream now, so I think that should be fine.
On Eric's stream?
In my stream, I think. Eric, you put it in yours as well, haven't you?
Yep, it's out there now.
On stream? Yeah, okay.
Okay, let me click from there and see if it works out.
I'm just checking my notifications, seeing what's... People are +1ing my comment and you know, sharing the thing. Let me just give me a second. Have you got a few machines running there, Eric?
Nope,
Apart from
one.
just this one. That's okay. I've got another netbook here. I'm just looking at as well. And the Hangout Canopy is showing me there's 23 different Hangouts going on at the moment. 2 of those are full.
Better light.
If you get any names or anything that you are trying to get in, Eric, just pop them in the box.
Yeah, no, that'd be
I'll
great.
just individually do them because
Yeah,
the top left of yours doesn't say invite, where on mine it does, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, the link came on my Hangouts. I clicked it from there.
Okay, great.
So it works.
Switch account here. At this precise moment, yeah, my Hangouts is showing like 23 different links, which is fine because if people are clicking the player and they can see that Francois maybe is not here and we're just waiting on standby, that's fine.
Yeah, he's just coming up from downstairs.
Okay.
But yeah, you know.
Yeah. I do have Chrome set up now for multi-account, so that's quite a good feature just to switch.
Surprising that more people aren't coming in.
Yeah, that's got me going as well. But they do have the sneaky option of watching and deciding whether they want to come in.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Well, that's the thing is that we're live now in the stream, and I know our
Okay.
discussion.
Well, we can
going
start
out,
well, let's start a discussion. Sudesh, it's nice to meet you. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Jaipur, India.
From India. Interesting. Do you follow France 24 at all in India? Do you get it? Do you look at us online or?
I think we get another French channel. I'm not sure. It's RFH.
RFI. Yeah. Do you
RFI,
follow us?
right.
Do you follow us online on the internet?
No, if you could put up the link, I could follow there.
Sure.
Okay, I'll see it on your web page.
Yeah. So here, France 24. We are, we're one of the major international news services like Al Jazeera and CNN and BBC.
Okay, there's one in Russia. It's called RT.
RT? That's another competitor of ours.
Yeah, RTH or RTI, I forgot.
Yeah, RT, and then, so it's becoming a very crowded international news space, that's for sure.
I think it's good. Earlier you had only the BBC and the CNN.
Yeah, and now you've got, that was the whole point, the reason why they created France 24 was they felt that there was too much of an Anglo view of the world in the international news business, and they wanted to create other voices, and that's why Al Jazeera has done so well in this space as well, because they've really brought a different perspective into the international news marketplace.
Yeah, I do check up their news channel. It's quite good, I think.
Yeah, it's quite good. Well, we encourage you to kind of check us out as well, and just to see, because you'll see you'll see a very different take on the news than you get on CNN and even Al Jazeera as well. And our strength is particularly like Al Jazeera in emerging markets in Africa, the Middle East, South Asia, as well as
you got a lot of local correspondents everywhere.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we're definitely a worldwide operation. And hey, Justin, can you hear us?
Hello, Eric. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Nice to see you. Where are you coming from? Are you coming from Brighton?
Yes, Brighton, south coast of England.
We've got two. We've got Essex and Brighton here, so we're well represented by the UK today.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
Nice.
I
Justin
speak with Mike many times.
Where did you get the link from, Justin? Sorry, where did you get the link from?
The link was just literally said, join this hangout.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Sorry, Eric.
No problem. I'm just giving Francois a call, and then we'll kind of get started, and then it'd be great to... we have a great discussion today. Today's the 1-year anniversary of the Syria uprising, and that's really the major story of the day. Randy, nice to talk with you in the Internet Newsroom. And so, where are you joining us from, Randy?
Bordeaux, France.
Oh, from Bordeaux, France. But we're well represented by the continent. Now,
Absolutely.
do you follow France 24?
I do.
Excellent. So, we're getting today Francois Picard, who's host of the debate, who was just on the show. He's just going to join us, and we're going to kind of talk about French presidential elections, U.S. presidential elections, Syria, and basically any other topic that's of interest to our fellow hangout at people who hang out. And so right off the set, here he is, right here.
I have a guest with.
We don't have speakers.
We don't have speakers. Oh, okay.
So
we'll
have to improvise here. And so
you can try speakers, Eric, if you want to.
Hi, everybody.
Tell you if it doesn't work. Hey, Francois.
How's it going? Just got off air. I'm with. Sorry, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm
Go ahead.
Rahaf Harfouche. I was on the France 24 panel,
That's right.
the debate on Syria. Decided to pop in and hang out.
And so basically, we just gotten off air. We had a 1-hour discussion about Syria 1 year on. A little depressing because it's looking like it's a real impasse at this point. And you have family in Damascus, and like a lot of Syrians, people on both sides of the divide. It's a real quagmire. I hope I'm not breaking into a.
No, we were just kind of going through. We've got Randy, who's joining us from. You said Bordeaux.
Yes.
And then Justin is coming to us from. Also, we have two folks. We got Mike from Essex, and Justin, you were joining us from where? I think we may have lost Justin. And then Trey, where are you joining us from?
Hi, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, here in the United States.
Nice, well represented from 8 Mile.
Eric, could I just ask Francois, sorry, and his guest to just come a little bit closer? I think the light is just streaking over Francois's head there, and if you look on the webcam.
That's right. I think it's good.
How's this?
There we go. Oh,
It's the
block the
backlight.
light. It's the backlight there.
If I stand just like this.
There we go. So Randy, have you been following what's been happening in Syria?
I have. By the way, I'm a dual citizen, so I'm voting in both elections in France and the U.S.
Same
just
here.
to mention in passing. Great. So we have a lot to talk about. I'm wondering about Syria. Like, this is the typical problem of what can we do? On Google Plus and on anybody else that's talking about this, no one likes it. I mean, no one wants to see people hurt, killed, families. It's detestable and horrible. And yet, look at all of the things that we've tried. I say we, I mean the West, I guess. Look at all the things we've tried. How well did that work out? What's going to happen in Iraq when we're out of there, or Afghanistan? I mean, it's horribly depressing. I want to go kill myself now.
Well, and Trey, are you following the story in Syria from Detroit?
Yes, I am.
What are your thoughts on it now, 1 year into what's been a very violent uprising?
I think. First
Trey,
off,
we're losing.
it's horrible what it's happened here.
You're
Trey,
breaking up a little bit.
Trey, you're breaking up just a little bit there.
Let me ask you the question, because everybody's feeling the frustration. Do people come up to you a lot and say, "What do you do?" and "What do you do?" kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard when you see two forces that are seems to be completely in a stalemate. But I think the bigger question is, now that we live in a bit of a more connected world, then we might need to redesign some of the processes and how we engage in these types of situations. I mean, it always seems like deposing the government that's in charge just is one step of many. And I think some of the issues is we don't necessarily think through all of the time and the investment and the cost that it's going to take to get a country back up and running. So I think in Syria, for example, if the Assad regime was to step aside, it would be one step on a very, very long road. You've got a power vacuum, and it's not just the power vacuum, and we've seen this in Egypt. Just because you remove the guy in charge, it doesn't mean that the systems that have been put in place, the way that the country runs in terms of infrastructure, in terms of government, in terms of services, all of those things also have been designed to operate in that particular climate. And so you need to think that we also need to address those issues as well. It's not just a matter of getting one person to move aside. So I think it's part of a much broader conversation around the way that we engage and the way that we provide aid.
Well, Justin, what are your thoughts on this?
It's one of those subjects where you've got to be a little bit careful what you're saying, because it's such a hotbed. People like certain aspects of it, people don't like the same aspects of it. I don't think it's something that will really get resolved at the moment, because each time they seem to make some sort of headway, it's like taking a few steps forward and just as many back again all the time.
Let me just get to the bottom line, Justin. Given that the British economy is in dire straits, are you willing to support a government that spends billions of dollars reconstructing Syria, because that's what it would take of your tax dollars?
Yeah. Not really.
Okay. Hey, Randy, at the end of the day, would you want, now as a dual French and American citizen, you might be paying taxes in both places, are you willing to commit your tax dollars, both from the French government and from the American government, to rebuilding Syria?
I am, but I'll tell you what I think is rebuilding. What does that mean? And my thought is, and this is going to seem crazy, but I believe in this. You look at what a company like Apple and all of the marketing forces behind them can do. I don't understand why these human forces, right, without any weapons or anything, just as in parentheses, people are spending millions of dollars on Apple products that they may not even need. and somebody convinced them to do this. Well, my thought is there's got to be some human way to put pressure on leaders like Assad and others to avoid this thing, to do, first of all, either a peaceful transition or no transition, and he gets his thing together in a way that's going to work. There has to be a way, just like you handle people. You have an obnoxious person in the room. Some people are able to master that person and get them to behave. I can't believe that if we put all of our forces together, and if it takes money, yes, I would put money in, that we can't avoid the bloodshed and get things straightened out in some human way that makes the person see, hey, this is you're gonna benefit from this. The entire world will.
Well, I mean, that's a very idealistic response. The
I know.
problem is the Chinese and the Russians don't have the same perspective on this as we do.
It was interesting
How
to
do you
hear.
get around that?
Well, it was interesting to hear at the end of our discussion, the conclusion we had Anna Neistat of Human Rights Watch, and she was saying how the Russians are key in all of this. The Russians have just had an election. That election is passed.
Right.
So perhaps there is wiggle room there. She didn't say it like that, but she sort of hinted at it. And the point that she was making was the people to pressure are the folks who are still providing weapons to the regime, while some in the opposition in Syria want us to arm them and want a lot of weapons. The Syrians themselves are divided on the question of whether or not you need more weapons to throw weapons at this problem. And in fact, fewer weapons all around might be the answer.
Yeah, I'd send teams in there to steal all of the weapons on both sides. I mean, I know that's crazy too, but you see what I'm saying is that we're never going to get anywhere by arming one side or the other. The Russians did it in Afghanistan. How many years did they spend there before the United States went in and filled that void? I mean, we're wasting time and lives. It's just, I know it sounds like I'm a hippie, but we have to find a way that isn't that.
Definitely does sound like you're a hippie, and it's actually not a bad thing. Hey, Trey, are you back again with us?
Yes.
Let's see if your connection's a little bit better there. What are your thoughts on what we've been saying in terms of Syria? And again, as I'm not sure if you're a taxpayer yet, but are you willing to commit American forces and American diplomatic power behind what's happening in Syria, or are we overstretched right now in the United States?
Well, three things. First, I'm a journalist, so I'm going to try to answer that question cautiously. And two, I'm not a taxpayer yet. I will be in October. The third thing is that no matter where you stand on this, the world has a responsibility to act when such atrocities like what is happening in Syria is going on. We have to come together, rise up, and stop this type of violence. It's flat out unacceptable. How you go about doing that is, some say do it diplomatically, some would support a military intervention. Either way, we have to act. When the diplomatic process fails, should we go in with the...
Trey, let me just ask Francois a question. So this idea of this moral question that we have to act, we didn't act. We're not acting in the Congo. We're not acting in a lot of places where there are atrocities that are far greater. 8,000, really, in the scheme of war, not that much. We see Syria much more personal because of the YouTube videos, but there are atrocities that are happening on a much larger scale in other parts of the world, and we don't see the same type of moral conviction that Trey. We don't have a Coney 2012 type of video getting out there. Why is Syria different?
Well, Syria is different because, unfortunately, and there's a lot of places in the world where people are being killed. Sri Lanka comes to mind as a place where there was
far more than 8,000 people.
It was far more than 8,000, and most of the world. Geopolitically, though, Syria is such a tinderbox. One of our guests on the show was Lebanese. They're worried about a spillover effect. It's at such a pivotal crossroads in the Middle East, and also because we're still at the beginning of things, the place where perhaps you can put a stop to things before they get too far out of control.
And just because we didn't act in the past, doesn't mean that we shouldn't act now. I think that I would actually push back a little bit and say we acted in Libya, we gave support to the Egyptian army, both diplomatically and otherwise. So I think that it's an atrocity that's what's happening right now, and there are things that are sort of being done in the Congo. There are advocates, there are organizations, just like there are in Syria, but that doesn't mean, unfortunately, we don't have a monopoly on human suffering, but I do think it's our responsibility to try to alleviate that as much as we could. And what hurts my heart a little bit, not to sound, too sentimental, is that when you have people talking about tax dollars, where I always say to the people who say tax dollar this, tax dollars that, I say, imagine you're in a position of power right now where you can sit back and you can make a judgment call about whether you want to watch or whether you don't want to watch. What if it was your sister, your brother? What if it was you in a situation with no way out of this country? There's no way out for you. There are food shortages, prices are going up, there's no heat, there's no power. Would you want people to have that conversation then about tax dollars, or would you hope that we lived in a world where somebody would say, you know what, you're in trouble and you're an innocent civilian, you didn't ask for any of this, you're not picking up weapons, you just want to live a normal life, and would you want somebody to come help you? That's what I always think. I always think it might be expensive and it might be painful, but if I was in that situation, I would really hope that somebody else would come to my rescue.
I mean, it's easy to get into that situation. It's much more difficult to get out.
Absolutely.
And so I think in a time when all of our economies in the West are broke, the tax dollars are the central question. I mean, it's not an irresponsible question because at the end of the day, guns and butter.
Yep.
And in the United States, where I think, and also in the UK where Justin is, we're closing senior citizen homes, we're closing schools. So I think the other pertinent question is, would you want your grandmother to be put out on the street of a senior citizen home because we don't have the funds to pay for it? I mean, that's a germane question here. Justin, what are your thoughts on that? These are difficult questions, so I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No, sorry, it's caught me out slightly, actually. You don't want to see anybody on the streets. You don't want to see anybody suffering wherever they are in the world. Everybody should be able to have food in their stomach and a roof over their heads, and be able to bring up their children in peace. So it's not something you can answer easily, is it?
There's no easy answer on this.
I want to bring up something, and maybe because you'll have obviously a vantage point on this, being a Syrian. You were mentioning the conflict in the Congo, which is off the radar for a lot of people. And one of the problems today, it's just amazing that we're having this discussion with Justin, Randy, Trey, and all over the world here. One of the problems today is Syria has internet access, and most of the Congo does not.
In some parts of the world we care about, and some we don't.
I think it's a matter of awareness. But I think if you want to tackle this problem, I think it was Randy who had the best approach. I think we live in a time right now where technology has empowered us to pool our collective ingenuity and innovation. I mean, look at different industries that are struggling. Look how they've been completely revolutionized by new ideas. So if the old system isn't working, if it's a matter of tax dollar spending, if it's a matter of this or that, then I think we as a species that have dominated this planet now, I think we can apply our collective intelligence as a group, as a whole, and come up with some solutions that would work.
Okay. Let me put one more awkward question out, then I'm going to get back to the panel. I'm going to ask the awkward question. The United Nations will not be involved in any intervention in Syria, and that is a fact because the Chinese government has gone on record saying they will not approve any intervention of any kind. They were terrified what would happen in Libya. They never want to see that happen again. So,
intervention,
military intervention. You will not see a United Nations sanctioned military intervention because it will be vetoed at the Security Council by the Chinese, if not by the Russians.
I think that's good.
Okay, so let's take the UN-backed military option off the table because it won't happen. What are we left with?
Humanitarian aid. I mean, the government's been blocking that, getting there.
But in order to create a humanitarian corridor, you need to have a military intervention to bring security to those aid. That you can't start launching in Doctors Without Borders unprotected. And the UN will not sanction that. So I'm putting you, again, awkward questions.
Well, this goes back to like the Russia thing that we were talking about. There are people who that Syria counts as allies right now, and I think everyone can agree that, or most people can agree that the violence is the thing that needs to stop. I mean, the crazy thing is that was mentioned in the show earlier is that there were a lot of opportunities to have reform. People weren't initially calling for him to step aside. People were calling for a multi-party political system, for a bit more freedoms, and for the removal of emergency law. So I think there is room to negotiate around there. I don't necessarily think the only option is, if there is no military option on the table, if the only thing is to say we need to force him out or do anything. I am just concerned about the humanitarian situation. I'm concerned about the psychological impact that this is having on the people in the regions affected, the lack of food, the lack of water, I mean, all of these things. And again, I mean, I'm not a diplomat, so I'm not quite sure how that would work, but I would have to think that with the right pressure points, I mean, you can't really fight back against providing humanitarian aid to civilians. People are going to argue with you. If the issue is military, people don't want to have a military intervention, fine. Like, take that off the table and let's talk about what you are willing to deal with as a starting point anyway.
Trey, what are your thoughts?
I think you can take a possible U.S. intervention, military intervention in Syria off the table as well. One, because we are in an election year, and politics is going to play a huge factor in that. And second, the president had advice from the Pentagon, I believe earlier in the week, that said it would be extremely difficult to implement a military intervention in Syria. So there are different factors that are playing. You got to worry about the tax dollars. Also, many Americans here don't want another war. They already disagree with the war in Afghanistan, want the soldiers to come back home. They just do not want another war. So you got a lot of politics being played with the issue of Syria as well.
We'll just go. Say it one more time. We're just going to wrap up on Syria very quickly.
Yeah, no, but my question for Trey is the following. And, you know, I know that foreign policy is under the radar in the U.S. We're having weird presidential election campaign here, and it seems like it's a weird one over there, too. We think the top issue, when you speak to ordinary citizens, should be the economy. Over here, it's the right tack of the incumbent president, who's weighed in on a row over whether or not you should ban halal meat from school lunches. And over in the U.S., there's all these social issues. Contraception is the big issue. Are you a bit, how would I say, disorientated by the way these political campaigns are going? We thought it was going to be all about the economy.
Look, these social issues, they come up, and I think they're going to keep coming up as we get closer to November. But if you look at these exit polls that come out, the number one issue is still the economy. That is still the focus on many Americans' minds. And they, you know, this is number two, but they're really focused on the economy. But I do think the social issues are going to continue to come up. But that really is a big issue on Americans.
Okay, well let's just shift gears a little bit, because I think Justin is dying here under the weight of our serious. Let's lighten things up. Justin, are you following the Mitt Romney kind of slow bake and his decline in popularity in the United States, and what's happening?
He's getting
with
more delegates, but he's getting less popular.
Less popular. Are you following the U.S. elections and the comedy that is politics in the United States?
A little bit, not so much, and I think not so much this time, mainly because of the way it's been going. I've been, it sounds awful, but I've been losing interest in it because of all the stuff that's been going on, if you see what I mean.
Well, you're like a growing number of Americans who feel this is just, they're burned out of it all. Yeah. It's just too much. But, you know, your prime minister is visiting the U.S. and had a hot dog and watched a basketball game yesterday. I've
got a good anecdote.
Did that play well back home?
I didn't really see much of it.
Well, apparently it didn't make an impression.
To be honest, there isn't much that he does do over here that makes an impression at the moment. We had some celebrity swimming the channel and rowing around in boats to raise money, and I thought, why don't we get our Prime Minister to do that? Because A, it would do him good for PR, and B, he'd be leaving the country for a while.
Nice.
It'd be much better for us all.
Hey, Mike, did you follow what your Grand Prime Minister is doing back in the U.S.?
Well, the bit that I got about it was the Guardian UK have had a scathing article saying that if he wanted to speak to President Obama, then he could simply make a telephone call. And it was a liken to Tony Blair visiting, who got possibly to, I don't know the exact details, perhaps saw Air Force One, and Margaret Thatcher, of course, when she came. Both of those Prime Ministers returned to the UK, which was in a real shamble. Now, the word I heard, and I haven't followed it the last few hours, is whether David Cameron got himself into Air Force One and physically took a flight in it, because I think that was his objective. I also heard that he's bringing on a load of Hollywood actors with him who are British, and it does beg the question here that we're in trouble, and you know, with technology like that we're talking on now, what is the point of him coming?
Mike, do you get the feeling that Barack Obama still has an axe to grind with the British compared to his predecessor, because a friend of mine was at the White House yesterday for a meeting, there was this big reception, and he cracked a joke about how the British came to the White House 200 years ago and they really lit the place up, in reference to the fact that they burned the White House 200 years ago. It was the War of 1812. He always gets in a little dig of it like that. Do you get the feeling that Obama, well, doesn't like the British that much?
I don't get that feeling. That's not because I've really got a lot of information on it, but I think what I would say is that with David Cameron, he started off, as you probably know, with this idea as, look, I'm a new guy, I've done all of these things, I'm quite cool, call me Dave. And now, one minute you see him, there was a show, a comedy show, and I think he was doing the I'm not worthy thing to an actress and things. The thing that I would say, Francois and Eric, is David Cameron is on Google+. He hasn't posted since October the 3rd, and I've invited him to numerous hangouts, and I'm really thinking that if this was 2014 and UK politics were working, then these hangouts would be jam-packed full with candidates, and they're not at the moment. I think that would change.
Well, Francois, your mission before 2014 is to get David Cameron to come and join us on a hangout.
On a hangout.
On a hangout.
With a nice high debit.
That's right. Okay, so we're going to, now let's move from one comedy to another comedy. So we talked about the road show in the United States. Now, Randy, we're going to turn to you to give us your thoughts on Mr. Sarkozy, who just moved up in the polls for the first time to win in the first round this past week. That was
to lead.
To lead in the first round, but potentially, who are you kind of keeping an eye on right now?
That's a very easy question because I'm not watching it at all. I've spoke to, no, but I do have an answer. First of all, I spoke to a friend who's a professor of economics and knows a lot about, and economics being the big problem. I said, well, tell me, what do you think between the two, between Hollande and Sarkozy, what's the difference for the country? And he said, I don't know if this will surprise anybody, he said, I don't think there's going to be any difference at all to the country economically, regardless of who the socialist or the, whatever the name of Sarkozy's party is. I was very surprised by that, but since I know very little about all this, the thing that shocks me, let's compare, because I love to do this, the two systems. In the United States, anyone can become president. In France, it seems that they always come out of DENAC. Right? They always come out of the school. Every politician has the same background in France. So that's one thing.
Yeah, actually, not the case of Sarkozy, and also, but bear in mind, the vast majority of presidents in the United States do come out of the Ivy Leagues as well. I mean, we can go down the list of modern presidencies, from Clinton to Bush to Obama himself coming out of the Ivy League. So we have an elitist system now, and the vast majority of people in Congress are millionaires. So
that's for sure.
We're not feeling like educate, like don't we want people that are coming out of top Ivy Leagues, or top education?
Absolutely, but if you look at the vast majority of people who are in the Ivy Leagues, they come from the elites. They're from the 10%. I mean, that is the overwhelming majority of people from the Ivy Leagues. He is now, but no,
but not when he was.
Not when he was there. But certainly, he doesn't represent the majority. And the majority of people in the Ivy Leagues are from the top 10%, if not the top 3%.
Still, I mean, Bush and Obama and Carter, or you could take any number of presidents, and they're not going to be as much alike as French politicians are, accepting the viewpoint of being socialist or being whatever the other guy. Sorry, what's the name of his party, Sarko? I don't know.
UMP.
At any rate, my answer, that's a long answer, but my answer to your question was, I don't really care. My vote will be, I forgot the name of this, but it's the least bad choice. So right now, I would say Sarko's better for reasons I won't go into. It's obvious that the most important vote will be if the National Front gets any traction at all. We have to get rid of him. We've already seen that's already been done, so I think we can do it again. And I don't see them being talked about, by the way. So,
by the way, you're obviously not a millionaire, because if you were a millionaire, I think Hollande would give you a different impression on your tax rate.
Yeah, but that's not a problem. Yeah, that's right. I'm not a millionaire.
He would take 75% of your money.
I don't like the
income above.
That's right. That's his. If you're a millionaire.
Not 75% of your money.
It's 75% of your tax rate.
No, 75% above
a million.
Above $1 million.
There we go.
But it's mostly show business in both countries, isn't it? And I mean, it's image. So, Hollande doesn't do anything for me. He doesn't seem like somebody who's got what it takes. Can't say the word.
Justin, are you following the French elections at all?
Not really. I mean, it does seem to me that most of it, most of politics, especially around Europe, it's a circus. It's very much turned into some big show that is being put on. It's like Randy just saying, it's difficult to choose. You end up sort of choosing the best out of the worst.
Yeah. And Trey, are you following anything going on in France, or are you keeping your eye just on the U.S. elections?
I'm just keeping an eye on the U.S. election.
And who would you vote for if you were able to vote? I'm presuming you're not old enough to vote.
I am not in the French election.
No, in the U.S. election.
I can't answer that. I will be voting this year.
Oh,
He's a journalist. You can't ask him that question.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The vote is 18.
It'll vote at 18 in the United States. That's
I forgot.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. So, but most 18-year-olds don't vote. Unfortunately, it's about 1 out of 10 young people between 18 and 25 who actually vote.
Can I
so
just say
even though they have the right, they don't vote.
To Eric and Francois that Trey, how many followers have you got with Upfront News at the moment, Trey?
On Google Plus alone, I have over 10,000, but on Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, all together, I have about 17,000.
And
Tell us what Upfront News is.
Yeah.
Right now, we're a curator, which means we send out breaking news from various trusted sources. But coming in December, I plan to launch a wire service.
Really?
We'll have to now, the famous Sarah Hill has joined us. You have quite a legend on Google+, and so we're actually flattered that you're with us today. We're still kind of getting the kinks out of our system on Google+, and so we've been talking for the past half hour on international news. From your vantage point, what kind of international stories are you following these days? Are you keeping most of your eyes just squarely on the U.S. elections?
We cover a whole variety of stories. I'm hearing an echo. Is that on my end, guys?
I think it's on Eric's account, sorry.
Okay, sounds good. Covering a wide variety of stories. Obviously, our viewing area is in the mid-Missouri area, so it's an area of probably about 500,000 people. But within the Google Plus stream, we've got 750,000 individuals that are following us. So what we are essentially using Hangouts for are for mobile journalism, in that Hangouts to us are a free satellite truck in the middle of a crowdsourcing tool. So we have the ability not only to bring in people from around the world into our broadcast en masse and have a group conversation about the day's news, but we also have the ability to find them. Although vetted, these individuals have to be vetted, but you have the ability to find them. So we here in Missouri are a small market news organization, but we are able to expand our reach all the way around the world and bring people in a group conversation. So for instance, breaking news events, the future, when we have the Penn State riots, you might be familiar with the Penn State riots, and a lot of people were live tweeting during the Penn State riots. And our argument was, open up a Hangout, and then from your mobile home, show us en masse what you are seeing. So live hang with us, don't just live tweet with us, show us. That's the beauty of this network, and that it's not just text-based via Twitter and Facebook, but it's face-to-face interaction. And I can see that she has a lovely green dress on, and that's a wonderful necklace. Where did you get that necklace? I mean, all that kind of deeper level of engagement that goes on, far beyond the level of tweeting just with your avatar via Twitter, via your profile pic. So it's a deeper level of engagement. So we're using it not only to bring people into our newscast, but we're also using it for mobile journalism to enable our viewers to go live with us and have a group conversation.
And what kind of numbers are you seeing in terms of the numbers of people who, what kind of numbers are you seeing in terms of the numbers of people who are joining these Hangouts when you have these breaking news events, in terms of the size of the Hangouts?
Okay, sorry, you cut off on that last. Can you say that one more time?
What are the kinds of numbers that you're seeing in terms of people who attend the Hangouts when you cover breaking news like this? Given you have such a large following, are you seeing huge numbers of people kind of participate?
Not 150,000 people, no. A lot of that has to do with time zones. So there is a time during your stream when it's most active, and for my stream it's in the morning, like from 9 to about 10 o'clock in the morning. Our Hangouts are full most days, so how many people beyond the 10 people try to get in, I'm not sure. We don't have any analytics yet for that. We've asked that from Google, and they tell us that they are coming. We ask people to +1 our posts if they're watching, and that's one way we're getting just crude rudimentary numbers of how many people might be watching. We have others remark to us afterward that they were watching, but they didn't necessarily comment in the stream. So those kind of analytics are coming, as is the ability to put your on-air studio feeds within this Hangout, which essentially will put your broadcast, a broadcast stick, in the middle of the world's first face-to-face social network, which will be interesting to watch to see what happens with that.
Do you get the sense that people want to talk with each other, or do they want to hear from you as the news provider?
I'd say both. Initially, this started out, we opened up a laptop behind the scenes of our newscast and allowed viewers to see the behind the scenes. You know, when the batteries on the microphone go dead, when they float something out of the show, the floor director is giving standbys. People found that highly interesting, that they were able to be right next to us during the broadcast and see that kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that goes on. As it went on, they also liked the ability, when we were giving the news stories, that they would react instantly. So we'd be doing a news story, and I wear 2 earpieces, so I have the producer in this ear, and then I also have the Hangout in this ear. So as we're reading a story about a political process or something like that, you're hearing the Hangout groan immediately as you're reading it. So you're getting real-time audience reaction in your other ear, which is really fascinating for a presenter to all of a sudden have those people who were, you know, one day far off in your living room, well, now they're like right next to you in your ear instantly as you're reading it. So we ran a gas price story, for instance, the other day, talking about gas prices in our local location, and in our Hangout, somebody from Australia, as I was reading the story, was saying, well, it's $6 a gallon here in Australia. So as we're reading it, by the way, Michael says that it's $6 in Australia, so you're able to get instant reaction. You're able to hear the Hangout sigh when you're reading a story about a murder, or something like that, and you hear them just like you would hear them in your living room. So it's kind of a really surreal in that respect. And sometimes I think the behind-the-scenes Hangouts are even more compelling. You guys tell me, more compelling as far as viewer engagement than bringing them physically on the air, because when you're able to chat with them more during the sound bites and the commercials, it's just like you have this running commentary during the news. We were doing a story last night during our 5 o'clock news about marijuana issues, and as we're reading that story, a couple of our Hangout participants are having their own debate in the Hangout about the story that we were talking about. So all kinds of ways that Hangouts can be used, either behind the scenes or on the air.
Just for the record, $6 a gallon of gas here would be a bargain.
Oh, God. I filled the tank last week, first time, above 80 euros, so that's the equivalent of
120, 110. And on a small car, too. It's not a big car, actually, at all.
It's $3.25 a gallon here.
Yeah, well, we're just experimenting, getting the Hangouts underway and getting started with them, and thanks to Mike, his help, and hopefully getting into the networks a little bit. For us, it's a little bit different because we have an audience that is truly international and that is designed to be international, and largely in places where Google isn't particularly strong. So Google has been very strong in the U.S., but not necessarily in Africa and Europe and in the Middle East. And so that's where we're hoping to see some of the growth coming into this. Also, to bring Americans into this discussion internationally, because the amount of international news in the United States is so dreadfully low that this is an opportunity to engage and talk about issues that you can't get in the mainstream press.
And I have a question, and you can either put it to Sarah or to Mike, which is just I find every time we do one of these Hangouts that the level of just the people are incredibly bright. And do you notice a huge difference between Google users and, Facebook users and other social media users?
Yeah, because these are early adopters, right? So the people who are on the platform now are early adopters, so naturally they're going to have a higher level of intelligence, not just about world issues, but about tech. A lot of people who are interested in tech are on this platform. Would you agree, Mike?
Yeah, I think I've got an upcoming like post, because you can't go 24 hours without about 8 or 9 or even 10 articles saying very negativity about Google+. But I think that one of my posts coming up is simply to say that if you were got hit by a car or something and they just didn't know what was obviously wrong with you, who would you want operating? And if I had maybe a Twitter surgeon or a Facebook surgeon on me, I think I would definitely, want the Google Plus surgeon, because let's be honest, they've got the Hangout up their sleeve, and if they get stuck, they can open it.
Great point.
Hey, Justin, how do you use Hangouts? What's the value for you?
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah,
Tell them about that.
The whole Google Plus thing right from the start caught me out. Somebody sent me an invite. I didn't know a thing about it. I jumped in. It was like watching digital tumbleweed at first. There was nobody about. I thought, what am I doing in here? There were no friends, and all my friends were on Facebook, and it's like, this is crazy. Slowly, one by one, more people interacted. I started to think, you can design it to create feeds that you like. It's not like Facebook where you're just getting everything coming in and yet another gif of a cat. So it was very different from that. I got involved with a photography community, and that's grown. That's gone absolutely huge. And then due to another news channel in the States, they do a lot of stuff with celebs, an awful lot of celebrities. So within the Hangouts, within the last couple of months, I've literally managed to talk to Gary Oldman just after he got nominated for the Oscar. And last
Sugar
week,
Ray, apparently.
Yeah, last week I spoke to Sugar Ray Leonard and Shaka Khan.
Nice.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Just sitting at home.
Well, we're going to be doing these every Thursday at this time now for the foreseeable future, and so we're going to keep getting better.
We'll get through the French elections.
And we'll get our audio issues all settled out. We'll get our set issues all settled out. And so, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really a pleasure to meet you, and Trey as well as Randy. Mike, thank you for your help. It was invaluable. And Justin, we'll hopefully, Francois is a celebrity too, by the way. You got to put that down on your list.
I'll show you my paycheck. You'll see he's wrong.
He's a celebrity as well. And so thank you as well for coming up after the show and staying late, with us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys hopefully next week at this time.
Nice to meet everybody.
Sound good. Good luck with your endeavor. It's a great ride. It's a magic carpet.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Yep. See ya.
And then we were still broadcasting. So I'll end this one, Justin, and I'll have a word with you in a second about some other stuff, and you as well, Trey. But I'll end this because I've got the big red button.
Yep, I'll keep an eye out for you.
Yep.